Hello, and welcome to the third episode of the Martial Perspective. Today, I'm with Coach Jim Bundy of Team Bundy Jiu-Jitsu Academy, located at 160 Clifton Street in Warren, Ohio. Nice to have you on the show, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here, buddy.
So, tell me a little bit about your, who is Jim Bundy?
Who is Jim Bundy? Lifelong martial arts fanatic, family man, business person. Try to live the best life I can, try to lead others to try to just do the best we can in the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you started out in martial arts in 1987.
Yeah.
And that was under Grandmaster Samuel Naples in Taekwondo, correct?
Right. So I've been at this a long time, right? So 1987, always had a fascination with martial arts ever since I was a kid. Did not grow up in a very economically loving family, but not economically sound family, right? So my first experience is actually, I was about 9. Mr. Naples had a school right up the road from my house. I grew up in Girard, Ohio, right up the road on Belmont, if you're not from local, 193, right? And he had a school right up there.
Right.
And my buddy was practicing and he got a brown belt. And he quit right before he went for his black belt, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't even fathom someone being at the finish line and then stopping. And I was super excited to do it. I remember going into the school. It was so strange. Like, everybody was in their bare feet, and the instructor was calling out numbers, and people were doing techniques. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I also remember that, my parents just couldn't enroll me at the time. It just wasn't feasible. So, as a martial arts business owner, now I know that what I filled out next was a lead box, but I was at the movie theater, and Mr. Naples had, sign up for free, karate classes. I must have had me and my sister put like 50 of my name in there, dude. Like, I was getting free
to win
Oh yeah. All right, now I fast forward, I'm 11 at the time. There's no way I'm not getting free classes, dude. Now, I'm 11. Dude, I don't know he's calling everybody in the box to come try a class, right? I just want to make sure I win. So that was it. I got a free week of class. God bless, Mr. Naples' soul, because my parents still didn't have any money at that time.
Very blue collar.
But he just worked with them. And thank God he did, because, look where I am now.
And you have achieved the rank of 4th Dan under
So I started teaching, back in those days, and there's still schools that aren't, let's say, quote unquote, super professional now, right? Like my instructor was always, he was really into tournaments and running tournaments. He was fantastic at it. The first class I taught, I was 13.
Wow.
Well, he went out of town for a tournament, and he says, hey, can you run class? And I said, yes, sir.
You're not gonna say no.
That's what you do, right? So that was on a Thursday. I went home, I took notes of everything we kind of practiced, and I taught the best class ever that you've ever seen.
And you were a first Dan black belt?
No, man, I was a green belt.
Oh, wow.
I was a green belt, right? So I was a green belt, and I'm being, my joke didn't land very well, but worst class ever, right? Like, I'm a 13-year-old kid.
Right.
I have notes in a notebook of, the drills we did that Thursday, and that was kind of that. So that was my first exposure. But, as a martial arts school owner now, what I think that Mr. Naples, recognized intuitively probably then was some of us that come to class, we have this propensity to help. Like, we want to be helpful people, and then we start using martial arts as a vehicle to do that. And instructors can see that. They can see, when we're picking out leadership members and coaches at our school now, you see those people that gravitate to always go get the new guy and show them a little extra attention. It's not that everybody at the school isn't helpful, because everybody is. But there's just people that have that more natural, give to them to want to coach and want to help others. And I definitely had that from the very beginning. And so then I started teaching for him. Obviously I would fill in this and that, through my teams, but I started as a full instructor at 18.
Right.
Worked through my black belts. I think I got my black belt when I was 14-ish, something like that.
But knowing Grandmaster Naples is not just going to hand anybody a belt.
No, man. Especially in those days, right? Like, your black belt test especially in our system, was very extensive. Lots of, I can't remember now, but like tons of form patterns, tons of self-defense, board breaking. It was a process for sure. And schools nowadays, we have to make sure we find that line of being super professional and super legit, right? You want to have good students. And back then, maybe the professionalism wasn't there. The instruction, the integrity, the earn it, 100%.
Well, I think that's how society has changed. Back then, kids were tougher. We spoke on this in a previous episode. Kids were a lot tougher. Nothing was handed to kids back then. I can remember, riding my bike, street lights come on, I know to get home. I'm not being driven anywhere or everywhere. I'm not being put in a bubble or anything like that. Kids, I used to play in the creek and, have fun. And, everything that you got as a kid back then, you had to earn it. Where today, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and I've seen this, if you don't achieve what you're supposed to achieve in that curriculum and you don't pass, parents are more apt to pull their kids. Would you say that's fair?
Well, I'll let you a little bit in on how we do things in the jiu-jitsu world and the kid world. But obviously, I started my school. I bought my school in 1999 from Mr. Naples. So we were a Taekwondo school, and then I started mixing styles, and now we're up the food chain this way, that way to jiu-jitsu. But so it's different curriculum-wise than a karate school or a Taekwondo school. And I can touch on that a little bit. But here's what I would say. As a getting older person now, right? Like we have, when we're younger, we only have the world we're living in. As we get older, we have a compare and contrast. Things were like this here, things are like this now, and we can kind of look back and forth. What I would say would be the following, right? Like I grew up where, it was a gruffer kind of version of a man, and I think that that's important. But at the same time, it's like martial arts, right? We can keep integrity, but also evolve.
Yes.
Right? Like you can make kids earn things, but also do it in a way that makes sense and not have to be mean or rough or whatever, but they still have to have challenges and they feel like they have to overcome obstacles. Otherwise, as a martial arts practitioner, how are you really getting the true value of martial arts if you're not being challenged? So the question of how you challenge students in this and that, of course, everybody can have their own input and things like that, but you have to earn things. So in jiu-jitsu, you can't earn adult rank until you're 16 and above. So kids have their own little quote unquote make-believe belt system.
Like a junior level?
Not even junior, it's kids, right? So there's no version of brown, there's no version of black, there's no version of anything. It's literally a kid's system with green belt being the highest belt. So the luxury that we have as a school is we can create an attendance-based, if you're here enough, you can train and get good. So what we see at our school, we have students that have been here 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 years. If you have a good environment and you have a good culture and they're learning good things and they're training a certain way, they're gonna get really good.
Right.
So, but the beauty is they don't have the stress of having to be a brown belt as a little kid. Now, I'm not here to debate belts or this and that or why people do this or why people, I got my black belt in Taekwondo at 14. Everybody can have their own approach.
Yes.
What I'm simply saying is, if you create a culture that festers learning, where they're being challenged appropriately, then they feel like they earned it. And even if we're doing it like a little more on attendance base, but the proof is in the pudding. Because if you're a parent and you watch your kid from month 1, and you watch your kid in month 12, you can see a compare, contrast, and skill set. And that's what's important. So it's the standard that's being put in the classroom, it's the attention to detail that the instructors use, it's the culture and environment that they create, so it nurtures this level of success. So they can push each other enough where they get really good. So if we take that away, right, as martial arts instructors, we're not here to take out the easy, right? Things are supposed to be hard.
Right.
But we don't just say, hey kid, I'm gonna throw you in the pool, you've never swam before in your life, you better swim.
Right.
Like, so it's like there's this gruffness that we need to keep that we grew up with, but give them tools to navigate it.
Right.
Right? It's like if you're having a hard time or the kid's upset, we don't coddle them and go, well, here's a stripe or here's a belt just to make you feel better, Joey. You help that student that learn how to navigate those challenges or how they feel about their emotions or when they're not winning, what do I do?
Right.
Give them tools. So you set the standard high,
right,
but you give them tools to be able to meet the standard, not just physically, but emotionally.
Okay. Oh, that's a fantastic approach. So going back to your lineage, Grandmaster Naples was your most direct superior, correct?
Yes.
And then you had Grandmaster KB Chung.
Right. So I even did a class with him. My gosh, now I'm testing my memory skills. I think it was for my 3rd degree when he was in town, and my mother was alive at that point. And it was a really surreal experience because.
What was he like?
Well, strict, rough, like kind of what you would expect a Korean master to kind of be.
I lived in Korea, so I know how the Koreans can be.
So it's, and now that, I do jujitsu, the Brazilians are complete opposites from the Korean guys and the Japanese guys because they're culturally just completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely different. The Brazilians are much more this calm, laid back, what's up, bro kind of guy, and then the
peaceful.
And the everybody that's in the karates and the taekwondos, and I like it because it's very military, So that was 100% it. But again, I just believe I was wired to do this, whether having an old school parent or whatever. I've always thrived in really tough, structured environments. So I was never going to be, I was 11 when I started, and there was no kids.
Right.
Like every now and again there was a kid. Everybody who did the same class, it was a 90-minute class. Whether you were 9 or 55, you were all in the same class. So if you were a kid and you survived that, it's because mentally you were kind of, well, I make the joke all the time. I've just been a psychopath my entire life. So at the end of the day, when I'm working with Grandmaster Chun, it was like I was really into it. And I trained with him a few times, but I'm thinking of the one in particular when I did my 3rd degree.
As like an 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, testing in front of him, was that scary to you at the time?
I've always had a certain amount of nerves, whether it was a belt test or some kind of, fight or something, or when I was younger, Taekwondo tournaments. But I don't know, man. I'm a psychopath at heart. Like in a
good way.
Yeah, hopefully, right? I have this wire in me that just says go. Okay. So there's nerves, but I don't know. It's every individual is different. It's why I know, like from my perspective, getting back to the gruff person, helping people to learn how to tap into that. Right? When students come to our school, I'm that person that if you say do 5, I'll do 10. If you say I bet you can't do 10, I'll do 11 to spite you. Like I'm that kind of personality type.
Right.
But not everybody's wired that way. Like they're maybe a little more docile. They're a little more softer. As far as personality goes. Not that that's a bad thing. But it's our job to find that little fire inside them and help them figure out how to flame it up because they don't have the ability to do it. But you can't just go, hey man, you're a sissy. Why can't you do 10? Well, now you're just telling me exactly what I already knew. I already knew I couldn't do 10. Thanks for proving me right.
Yeah.
So if you can find a way to encourage and motivate and get that dig inside that person. That's our job as martial arts teachers, right?
Yes.
Get inside that person, find a way to motivate them and get them to want to be this new version of themselves, and then have them participate in martial arts in a way where they can see themselves doing it and they start seeing themselves different.
Right.
And then that's real transformation. So I'm not really sure that was your question, but that's definitely my answer.
No, you're my guest, and whatever direction we go, that's fine with me. Last Taekwondo question. Grandmaster Naples, if you learned one lesson from him, what was the biggest thing taken away from learning from Grandmaster Naples? What was the biggest thing that he's taught you?
Attention to detail. Attention to detail. It was, like I said, Mr. Naples was a very good instructor in terms of you have to do it right. So I'll give you a flashback memory. So I'm a white belt kid. And we had our school patch. And he must have been experimenting at the time where you had to do something curriculum-wise to earn your patch on your uniform.
It's an honor to have that patch.
So I remember doing, my punches, and my horse stance. And I remember wiping sweat off my head.
Oh.
Oh, you don't do that.
Oh, I've done it.
but my point being is, it gave me the thought process that every little thing you do mattered. Your hand doesn't need to be here; it's here. Mm-hmm. Your knee can't have this slight bend; it has to have this knee where you can see your knee over your toes. Like it was attention to detail in everything you do. Mm-hmm. And I still apply 100% that to my martial arts to this day.
So, I think I know the answer to my next question. Do you think it's beneficial to learn more than one martial art?
1,000,000%. But I think that it's really a matter of how you go about doing it. Mm-hmm. Because I've taught lots of styles, lots of iterations of my school over the years. One style, mixing styles, this class, that class, this class. Mm-hmm. At our school, we teach jujitsu. But jiu-jitsu to me as an individual is not what a lot of people would scroll on Instagram and see it, right? Like we do striking at our school. We do striking with grappling at our school. We incorporate what I would think if you didn't know what we do and you watched one of our fundamentals classes, you might go, are they doing like MMA? Because it's not just grappling. I never looked at martial arts as just do like this. It's like, it's got to work in a fight.
Right.
That's it. If it works in a fight, I'm all in. So from my perspective as a school owner, I always wanted to make sure I was the person that was training and putting it all together so that the student didn't have to stress about that and go, hey, I do jujitsu Mondays and Wednesdays and Muay Thai on Tuesday, Thursday. Now, for some people that can work 100%.
It would confuse the hell out of me.
Well, it depends on your age, your time, right? If I'm a 20-year-old kid and I have tons of time and I can devote X amount of time to these different things, but that's still going to be difficult because it's polarizing thoughts, right? Like you're doing Muay Thai on Tuesday, and it's not just the techniques, it's the process of learning how you're supposed to beat another person, right? Every martial art has similar moves in them. It's what's the end game? What am I trying to accomplish with the moves? If I'm doing Muay Thai, it's to win rounds with certain rule sets. If it's boxing, it's to win rounds with certain rule sets. Where the Gracie family, which kind of spun that on its head, was I can fight anybody, any size, anywhere, any rules. If that's the construct, I have to practice my techniques to fit into what I want them to do if that's the scenario.
Right.
So that's the challenge, right? Like if you're doing gi grappling, like tournament style gi grappling for jiu-jitsu, and then you're doing Muay Thai, and then it's on you as a student to figure out how that all mushes together strategically in a street fight, because you have polarizing technique concepts, you have polarizing goal sets, right? I'm not allowed to take you down to Muay Thai except with like certain kind of throws, or if I, so it's really a challenge. My advice would be find a martial art that speaks to you. A martial art that speaks to you. When you do it, it just speaks to you, and you feel comfortable with it. I have many friends in the traditional arts, Taekwondo, karate. I'm friends with many successful school owners all over the globe. That doesn't mean, like, jiu-jitsu is the buzzword now.
Yes, absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be what a person does, so long as that person can find that art speaks to them, and they can use it effectively how they want to. So dabbling is good, mixing concepts is good. It's just going to depend on the individual, brother. Like, some people can handle that workload, but if you're a 45-year-old guy and you're a full-time professional working hard for your family, and you got 2 kids at home and a wife that doesn't want you at martial arts class 9 hours a week because, well, you just can't do that for a multitude of obvious reasons.
Oh, I've gotten in trouble many times.
Then you got to figure out your path. What's the martial art that will do what I need it to do for me?
Right.
And the goals that I have for myself. And I can commit myself to that. Doesn't mean you can't be open to other ideas and concepts. And maybe your instructor you're lucky that he is that kind of person where they can kind of, he knows that he wants to bring different things to the table, not stay in a little box. Right. That's always an amazing benefit. But even if that wasn't true, you just have to find something that speaks to you that will get you what you need out of the martial arts. Okay. That's just what I think. Okay, so fast forward from 11-year-old young Bundy to 21, 22, 23-year-old young adult Bundy. Yeah.
you shifted gears from Taekwondo to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Mm-hmm. What was the thought process behind that? What was the motivation to cross-train into another martial art?
So I'm going to give you an answer that's going to sound very canned. The UFC, right? Like, I'm just about to graduate high school. I guess I was like 18. Like, that's 19. Well, no, I must have been a junior. Mm-hmm. And the UFC comes out, right? And everybody knows I'm Jim, the martial arts guy. So all my buddies are like, "Whoa, let's watch this thing." And Hoist Gracie's doing his thing, and he's grappling and arm locking and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, they're asking me, "Hey, man, what's he doing?" I don't know what he's doing. So, from my perspective, if I get back to the original way I answered, like the cross training, I want to know whatever I'm practicing is going to work in a fight for me as an individual. Mm-hmm. So if someone's into a martial art and they want to get certain things from it and they like nunchuck training and bow stuff, bro, like I am not the person like the jiu-jitsu guy that goes, "Dude, why are you spinning nunchucks? What's the matter with you?" Like, man, do what you feel. Do what you want. It's giving you value and benefit. Mm-hmm. It isn't my business how anybody practices anything. But from my perspective, I want to know it's going to work for real. That's been my number one driving force since I've been a little kid. I want to know I can protect myself. Mm-hmm. So that brain pattern, mm-hmm. mixing in with seeing what other people are doing, mm-hmm. says, I got to figure out a way to incorporate whatever those people are doing. Mm-hmm. And Brazilians don't come to Ohio. So I was just mixing and matching anything I can grab from anywhere. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Mr. Naples got involved in a, and I'm with them now. Educational funding company is they provide martial arts business consulting and billing for your school and that kind of stuff. But I was going to events meeting other martial arts school owner and operators at a young age of different styles.
That's huge.
So that was majorly huge, because then you mix that in with the UFC, my mindset that I had about martial arts or wanting to get what I wanted in martial arts, and then you're getting exposure to different stuff that's outside your bubble. Mm-hmm. Like now you can go on YouTube and kids can just whatever you want. It's a never-ending buffet. But in the 80s and early 90s, like all we knew about other martial arts was you went to the bookstore and you read Black Belt magazine. Right. Or Kung Fu Illustrated or something. Mm-hmm. Like that was it. Mm-hmm. So by being exposed to different people, then I started playing around with just different styles in general. Mm-hmm. Just in general, what can work? And if I spiral through my 20s and all the different things that I did, and then I wanted to always test myself. I wanted to test myself. I was never a fighter. I was a person that fought to challenge myself. Now, did I get into a spot and every time I got into martial arts competitiveness, I'm a hyper competitive human. Mm-hmm. So once I started getting my toes in it, my competitive nature said, I want to be good at that. But that was never the primary driving force to doing tournaments as a young kid or any of that. I just wanted to test. Mm-hmm. Can I do it for real? Right? So if I spiral to my second MMA fight and then I lost, I had been hodgepodge grappling and, just learning, just grabbing wherever, right? Mm-hmm. And when I lost my second fight by a submission hold, I'm like, man, I need legit jiu-jitsu, dude. Like, this isn't cutting it, man. Like,
that had to have been tough.
And it was a great lesson. Had that fight not happened.
Humbling.
Well, the losses make you figure it out.
Yeah.
Because, when we win, we get way too full of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And when we lose, we're brought down to reality. Right. So that got me involved in and I searched and I found a path to, guy was bringing in, Pedro Sauer, and I started training with those guys. And, eventually as I got my, purple belt, I just really wanted to get in the rabbit hole of, Pedro Sauer as a person, and started, trying to find ways to go to his school and different seminars. And I really immersed myself in that. And Pedro Sauer, Master Sauer, he's not like this in a little box jiu-jitsu guy either. He talks a lot about like the Gracie triangle, right? And he says he likes to think about the top of his triangle as open. And you can put moves in that make sense. Because he boxed before he did jiu-jitsu, he did Taekwondo before he did jiu-jitsu, and his best friend from the street was Rickson Gracie. Rickson eventually talked him into going to class with Elo Gracie. He'd done other stuff before he did full jiu-jitsu. So I lucked into the fact that I have a jiu-jitsu leader that is open-minded that way. And he's totally fine that I teach jiu-jitsu with strikes and this and that because he sees all that as a benefit.
Oh, absolutely.
Not something that's deterring from the whole thing.
So, speaking of Master Pedro Sauer, that brings me to your lineage, your jiu-jitsu lineage.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that?
Sure. So, I've been involved with the Pedro Sauer organization since end of 2005, 2006.
Quite a long time.
And like I said, you know, I just made a point over time that I just really wanted. At first, when I was doing jiu-jitsu, it was just I wanted to have better ground fighting. Right? I lost that fight. I was good stand-up fighter. I was wrestling with some guys, so I was picking up and I was doing some hodgepodge grappling because, you know, like I said, around here, everybody was just trying to sort it out, right? And once I realized, after I got my purple belt, which is it's white, blue, purple,
right?
I didn't know who Pedro Sauer was, man. Like he was just another Brazilian guy. Like it was just
laid back.
Meaning it was just
chill.
Another Brazilian of all the Brazilians who do this jiu-jitsu stuff.
Right.
I'm like, I'm learning how to fight off my back better. Great.
And there wasn't too many jiu-jitsu schools or gyms in this area at all.
No, well, and that's the thing, right? Is everybody got better in jiu-jitsu, and they really started. And again, when I speak about this, it's like not to deter students or people from doing any other martial art. I can just speak to my experience and the guys I know, like the guys locally, especially like school owners, the more they got down the jiu-jitsu rabbit hole, it just sucked us all in.
Right.
So like I've had my school since 1999 as a commercial school. And it went from a Taekwondo school to a mixed blended kind of karate style school to I was heavy into MMA for a long time, so I had this MMA gym vibe going for a long time, then transitioned more to jiu-jitsu. Now, where we are now, where jiu-jitsu to us like is this blended kind
almost
of
like a combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, because I see jiu-jitsu as a fighting art. It's not a grappling sport to me. Not that that's bad either, because again, depending on what that individual's into, God love them, man. Like train however you want. But so around purple belt, once I realized, Master Sauer got his belt from Elo Gracie, this, that, like I started to see that he was like about as close you could get to like Elo Gracie and the Gracie, I'm like best friends with Rickson Gracie. I'm like, man, this guy's got, and I was spoiled because of how, when you would do a seminar with him, how he talked about jiu-jitsu and how to use the body in this super efficient way. And as the better I got at jiu-jitsu, I could start sifting through, not that other people were not good, right? But like I'm watching him talk, and the easiest way I could explain it to somebody is he's got a microscope and he just always can click it so you can see this minuscule thing. Like he's got, and that comes from, Master Rickson and of course, Elo Gracie, where it's these small little body movements that mean so much. It's not about the new sweep or the new choke, it's about body mechanics and efficiency. And once I knew that was the conversation, I'm like, dude, I just gotta be around that voice as often as I can and just soak it up. And that was kind of it. I just went all in.
So, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, did that evolve from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu? And do you know what the differences are? Because I don't know much about Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
I know one's mainly standing up and one.
So I'm definitely not. I don't have the historian background on it. I can only speak to what I think is kind of true.
Right.
Whether it's people that talk on the internet or different things that Master Sauer said or different people, right? So it all just seems to sound to me.
Or did it evolve from judo?
It all seems to sound to me that it all kind of came from the same spot, and like it's kind of like martial arts schools now, right? Like Jiu-jitsu in its current form depends on who you practice with and what they're into now, right? Like when it's small and it's like, when a band is playing local shows and they got their groupies.
Right.
And everybody's into that band.
Oh, absolutely.
But nobody else knows who the band is.
Like the Huck and Philbillies. They're local to here, and then they started getting bigger.
Okay, there you go. Not familiar, but got it.
Right.
So then as that popularity grows, you get all these other people that participate, and it's almost like the groupies are mad because you're taking our thing, you know what I mean? They want that band to be successful, but they also want it for themselves. So it's kind of like martial arts, like with Taekwondo, whatever. It's like as everybody gets a black belt, and that guy got a black belt, and then this guy got a black belt from this guy, and schools just start popping up, well, then everything becomes interestingly interpretable. So from my perspective, the way I understand it, I feel that that's kind of how that stuff went. It all came from a certain area with certain people doing certain things, and then once certain people got a hold of it, they put their spin on it. And this guy put his spin on it, and this guy put his spin on it. So I could only speak to, Master Sauer and, because his teacher was Elo Gracie, and, kind of his flavor and how it's been communicated to me. So I think the long-winded answer that I'm not that perfectly educated person to obviously ask about it, it all sounds like it kind of came from the same spot. Everybody gets a hold of it, puts their own spin on it, and then you just get this kind of trend. I think that happens with any martial art, right?
Yeah. So, 11-year-old young Bundy. Do you think pulp culture influenced you into joining martial arts? Was there a certain movie or something that you saw?
Oh,
or something?
yeah, man. I think 100%.
What did young Bundy want to replicate? What did he see that he wanted to replicate?
If you grew up
not Ninja Turtles, because you're pre-Ninja Turtles.
No, if you grew up in the 80s, man, well, of course, there's the Karate Kid that everybody got influenced by, and then you got Jean-Claude Van Damme,
Bloodsport,
and all that stuff. So it's
Kickboxer.
It's kind of, it's weird, right? Because when you say that, martial arts now, especially with UFC, and they got that new deal where if you have that Paramount or whatever it is, you don't even have to do pay-per-view anymore. You have a subscription, obviously.
Yeah.
But how many more people are going to be watching this stuff? It's like, it's crazy, right? So it's like in the 80s, martial arts was like taboo. Like certain people were into it. If you were like Bruce Lee or this or that or the other or Chuck Norris or whatever, so it's crazy how pop culture could I think affect us all a little bit different there, where now it's like, it's not even pop culture, it's just culture. Martial arts is freaking everywhere, man. You don't, as a martial arts school owner, parents assume a good martial art program should give their child focus, discipline, concentration. Where in the 80s, they didn't even think martial arts was for kids. They thought that people were just going to beat each other up and my kid will be a bully. And it's not that some parents may not think something like that now. It's far less likely.
So, as you get older in age and you're training martial arts, you've done martial arts your whole life. I mean, that has been your business model. That's been Coach Bundy ever since he's been 11 years old. That's martial arts. As you get older, do you find it more difficult to train? And how do you adapt your training when you're starting to feel aches and pains that aren't going away? You got cartilage, it might be deteriorating. I've got bad knees. I got rheumatoid arthritis in my knees. My shoulders are bad from being in the military, just rucking, and not soft
Pounding.
cushion. So as I get older, I feel that I have to adapt in a way so that I can heal. How do you deal with that?
So I just trained really well last night. I think that
because your body will actually speak to you.
Well, it speaks to me. My body screams to me all the time. Anybody who's older, whatever you've done in life, you got wear and tear from just being a human.
Right.
If you compound that with martial arts training, or as dumb as I've trained when I was younger, because we can train dumb. At the time I thought it was the right way to train. Age gives you a little wisdom, hopefully, right? So I would say the following. I heard this phrase multiple times. Some of my friends that are in martial arts business are older than me. Master Sauer is, I think he's like 67. So it's like, do what you can with what you got. Your goals have to shift, right? Your goals have to shift.
Right.
I think that if you're doing martial arts because you want to be healthy and it's fun for you and there's a self-defense protection to it and all those things, then you can stay with it as you age. If it's how good am I compared to you, if you have a competitive, hyper-competitive, or even moderately competitive edge to it. Now, you have to have a competitive edge because, on some degree, because you make me better and I'm using you as like sword on sword to sharpen.
Right.
But it never gets to the point where I'm angry because you caught me or got me in a move. When that is big in your mind, that you're going to go, man, I can't hang anymore. Because when you don't think you can compete with classmates or compete with other people in a martial arts perspective, not a self-defense one, but in a martial art to martial art perspective, you start questioning whether martial arts is for you anymore. Because you can't keep up with a 22-year-old. You can't kick like you did. You can't move as fast as you did. So the guys that stay with it long term are in love with being martial artists. Who they are,
right.
What they stand for, the practice that they do. And they practice in a way where they can stay healthy and train because their goals shift. I would also say, and this is not a plug to jiu-jitsu, it's just my experience. I do practice striking techniques and things like that. But when I was younger, I boxed all the time, I kickboxed all the time, I sparred all the time. I haven't done any of that for years. I can train because in jiu-jitsu you're not torquing on your body. If you're on the ground training, like if my back is really messed up, I can just be on the bottom and let my partner attack at me and just practice defense, and I still can practice, like legit practice, but not have to be hyper physical.
Not jarring like
because I'm not
Taekwondo.
so
because they're very jarring motions.
100%. So that's just the kind of nature of the beast thing, right? Like if I'll be 50 in January, right? If I'm 55 and my hips are grinded all up and I have to do these things, I don't know, man. You just have to, I can't speak to that. I could just say, you're gonna have to find a way to do what you can with what you got and be okay with that, or your uniform is gonna be in the closet with everybody else's. You have to find a way that the practice means something to you beyond the scope of the things that you can't do. And if you do jiu-jitsu, physically it's easier to do, but you have to just be mindful of what your goals are, man. Absolutely. I can train hard and competitively, but at the same time, I gotta listen to my body, dude.
Right.
And so when I train hard or whatever, or like have a more competitive training like you and I kind of really trying to get our moves to work like really good, I just limit them, dude.
Right.
I don't train like that every week. I train like that once or twice a month. And I can practice, throughout the month, and I can go, a little more playful, kind of experiment, stay healthy, practice some moves, which is super important, which is a different conversation. And then you have, end of the month, couple times a month where you go, all right, man, hey, I've been messing around and kind of trying some stuff and keep my body kind of okay. Let's go after it a little bit. But then you're like that football player who just came off the couch at 44 to go play. I don't want to know what his body felt like the next day.
Phillip Rivers, yeah.
Yeah, but 3 trains must have ran him over, right? So it's like, you can go harder as we age. We just have to do it in a way that makes sense for your body. Like you might need 4 or 5 days to recover and then train lighter for a couple weeks because you're not training like that Monday and then back on Thursday and then on Friday. If you are, God bless you, but I just don't think that's the norm. So be mindful of your body, be mindful of the art you're doing, find a way to do what you can, with whatever you got.
So my final question is, how does Coach Bundy keep focus and not fall out of love with the martial arts? What's your secret to success on that?
Brother, I think there's a lot of things. I think that if I narrow it down, there's just this love affair that I've had with martial arts. It's kind of hard to explain since I've just been a kid. The feeling of want to be able to protect is just God wrote that in my spirit, man. I don't have any other ways to explain. Like I'm wired that way. As I got older, then it becomes about protecting your family. I will not be that person that if my wife is here and you're trouble, I'm the only thing in between us, man. I'm going to do something. I'm not going to not be able to at least have something to offer that threat. So that's kind of number one. I'd say number two, man, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, right? Like martial arts just becomes who you are, not what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, if you do it long enough, it's you like who you are because you train. You like the character that it instills in you. You like the battles you go through and the mental toughness that you get, the focus, the enthusiasm that you keep for life all comes from when you practice. And it's like the drug that doesn't give you any bad side effects. So it's like if you just let the work do the work, like not everybody feels like showing up to practice.
Right.
We're human. Mm-hmm. So we have to have discipline. You have to have people around you to support you and keep you going when you don't feel like it. But when you're out training, dude.
Your students push you just as much as you push them.
Well, not only that, just the art does itself. It does the work. Like jiu-jitsu does the heavy lifting, man. Mm-hmm. Like you just get out there and train. You're like, dude, I feel like $1 million because I train, which means I'll never stop training. And you couple that in with I love watching people develop. I love watching someone be a better version of themselves because they're out here. And that's an addiction that there's nothing that'll ever stop that addiction.
Okay, so I lied. I have one last question. What do you want people to remember you by? What do you want as a legacy? What do you want to leave behind? When you're no longer able to roll and ground and pound and be the jits guy, you know, what do you want to be remembered by?
I would say the person who always, whatever they would ask you to do, they would always do themselves. They lead by example the best they can. They're not perfect, but they try to be a good man.
Perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, man. Like God didn't make us perfect individuals.
No, He did not.
So we just have to do our best. When we do wrong, we try to right it. Mm-hmm. We try to be the best version of ourselves and dust ourselves off when we're not. I would like to be known as a man of my word. Someone that wanted everyone around them to always win. Perfect.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, brother, I had a great time chatting. You brought me down some good memory lanes today, so it was great.
That's the goal of this. So what night are your classes here at 160 Clifton Street, Warren, Ohio?
Yeah, so everything's on the website, teambundymma.com. Kids classes are on there Monday, Wednesday, Friday for beginners. We have our Team Bundy Fighting Fundamentals classes for adult beginners that start on Tuesday, Thursday. But it's all on the website, super easy. Then obviously you have advanced classes everybody can participate in. So easiest way if someone was ever interested is just put your information in for a free visit to the school at teambundymma.com. We'll take care of the rest.
Anything special if they mention the martial perspective?
Free week.
You heard it here. So, it's a pleasure, sir. I hope this is not our last conversation. I'd like to do this again.
100%.
If anybody has any questions for Coach Bundy, please put them in the comments, and I'll get them. We'll do this again, and we'll get your questions answered.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.